The TEDx talk that I gave, which has got the largest view of all the things that I've ever said, was one of my worst talks.
This conception going everywhere. Okay, if you know the English, then you definitely become a good communicator.
Whatever is more than 100%, it is not required.
Do you think is the media leading towards the sensationalism?
So the keyword here is TRP and clicks. Anything that gets you TRP and clicks.
Is there any set parameters how audience or like me can identify what are the credible news?
Unfortunately, no.
So let's start with the questions. You have worked with NS Pata and you have worked with more than 2 decades with Times of India. So how your career journey starts?
Oh my God. NIS Pata was not the only company that I worked with. I worked with another company before that, and that was and is known as the Tata Group. So I worked with Tatas first. You're talking about how my career journey started? I did a very, very bad job of starting my career. What I did was that, unfortunately, and I don't recommend the people to follow this, but so for some reason or the other, I was not good at studies or getting marks. And I did very badly in my final year in my graduation and failed in one subject.
How much did you score?
Don't ask me, because today everybody...
This is very personal.
No, not personal, but you know, nowadays people score more than 80-90% and feel bad about it. And it took me 10th and 12th standard put together, I barely managed 90%. So don't ask me that question. But yes, when I didn't do too well in my graduation and I failed in my graduation, what I did was I said I need to make some money. So the first job that I ever did was I worked in a hotel in Baroda, taking orders in a restaurant. So I was a captain taking orders in a restaurant. That's how I started. But that wasn't something that I wanted to do for very long. So the moment I graduated, I quit that. And then I had the good fortune of joining a fantastic company and a group of company called the Tatas. And I worked with them for about 7-8 years in Baroda as well as in Pune. And of course, as always, I was looking at marketing and sales. That's the only thing that I've done.
Tata also marketing and sales.
Yes. And while I was doing that, looking after parts of Maharashtra other than Bombay, I felt that is also something that I don't want to do for too long. And that's the time when technology was coming up. So I shifted from there and I worked with NIIT, which was an upcoming and very good, known educational institute in software engineering. So that's what I did for about another 1.5 years. And I realized that that's also something that I don't want to do. But I learned all the technology I had to learn. And therefore, I've always been very, very interested and excited about technology since then. That's the time when internet was first launched. I don't think you've ever seen a life without internet. But that's when internet was launched in Gujarat for the first time. I think it was the 2nd of October, 1997 or 98. So that's 97, if I'm not mistaken. That's when internet was launched in Ahmedabad for the first time. And that's where I was with NIT at that particular time. And then that was not something that I wanted to do again. So therefore, I shifted to what you called as NIS Pata. NIS Pata was where I really got my education, where I got trained by the world's best in sales and negotiation and interpersonal skills, and also in behavior and communication. So that was a very, very good learning experience for me. And that I did for about 3.5 years, where I trained organizations like Voltas and Hutch, even before it was Vodafone or Cellforce. It was Cellforce at that time.
Yes.
And organizations like Coca-Cola, and moved around the country, and that was a beautiful learning period for me on how to talk to people, how to think, how to negotiate, how to be a little chill kind of a person, but get your objectives met. And then I had an extremely good fortune of starting to work with the Times of India Group. I worked with the Times of India Group for about 2 decades, as you said, in Baroda. And yes, it was a wonderful stint of mine and a beautiful organization to work with, and learned a lot. I've been blessed that I worked with Tata's number one in whatever they did, NIT, which was number one in its time, and then with the Times of India, which has been number one not just in India but in the whole world as far as the English language newspaper is concerned, and to remain at the forefront of being number one, to think from that particular context, to not be scared of doing good things, and not always be a follower. Because if you want to be a leader, if you want to be in the front, then you can't be a follower. And if you want to be a leader, then you need to take risks. As long as 6 to 7 times out of 10 you're not going wrong, you're good to go. And sometimes you can be more 6 or 7 times wrong, but more often than not you should be right 6 or 7 times. If you're doing that, that's perfectly fine. And these organizations gave me the freedom and the opportunity to go wrong but keep succeeding. And yes, that's my career as far as making a living is concerned. And it's been good so far.
Seems like there's a blessing over disguise. You have worked from Tata, NIT and all. What was the defining moment? You have worked with Tata, NIT, NI Sparta, Times of India. Out of all these, what was the defining moment of your life?
So I can't take or give credit to any one of them, and neither can I take credit for any one of them. I think all of them put together have made me what I am. Of course, I should not take away the credit from my friends that I have had, and the family that I've had, and the very, very close emotional connects that I've had with certain people in my life. I cannot take away credit from these people. All of them have made me what I am today. So there's no defining moment. But I was blessed, simply lucky to have worked with the number one in the country for everything. I don't think I did anything for it, but I was just blessed and lucky, I guess. So yes, I will tell you something that I give a huge credit for. I worked in sales for a long period of time without having been trained in it, really. And then I worked with NIT and NIS, where I got trained to train other people in sales and marketing. And therefore, first I practiced, not knowing what I'm doing, working on instinct, and then I got trained. And then having got trained from there, I came back to Times of India to implement what I was training people on. So if I would call this one turning point of mine, a defining moment of mine, which made a big difference to me, I would say that those three and a half years of mine, having worked with these organizations which helped me to learn marketing, communication, negotiation, behavior, human psychology, etc. Those were the things that really changed my life for what it is. Apart from my friends and family and these emotionally very close people to me.
आपका एक पावर ऑफ वर्ड्स पे TEDx टॉक्स था, सो आई हैव लिसन इट एंटायरली. मुझे और मेरी ऑडियंस को आज ऐसी 3 टिप्स दीजिए वेर किसी के सामने हम बोले तो लगना चाहिए यार क्या बोला है. What was the effective communication towards the entire talk?
Actually, I think the TEDx talk that I gave, which has got the largest view of all the things that I've ever said, was one of my worst talks. So let me put that forward. I didn't like it for various reasons.
But that got highest view.
But TEDx, so obviously. So yes, so I didn't like the way I delivered over there. So don't keep that as a benchmark for how good communication happens. Number one. So I think that the definition of effective communication is to get the desired response. That's number one. Number two, as long as you are talking to people to impress people, you're doing it wrong. As long as you're trying to, influence people, that is wrong. Don't try to do that. If I were to give credit to what has made me a good speaker, and a lot of people tell me that I am, I don't think so yet. I know so many people who do such wonderful jobs better than me, and I aspire to be like them. But I think one thing has always been clear in my head, and that is that I want to know the purpose of why I am speaking. What am I doing? Why am I speaking to you right now? And what is the objective of that speaking? If my objective is to become a good podcaster and do what wonderful talks that I have done, it's not going to be achieved. But if my objective is to share my information or share my knowledge or to help you to become a better person, or answer your questions such that it helps you to become a better human being, a better person, then I think it serves all the purposes. Because whatever purpose you have in your head is going to get fulfilled. So if your purpose is to just ask questions, you will ask questions, nothing else will happen. But that should not be the purpose. So I think to become a good communicator, you need to empathize. You need to be compassionate. You need to listen. You need to understand. Like very famous quote nowadays, everybody says that you need to listen with an intent to understand rather than to respond. Or so that's the key to it. I think it's very easy and known, but that's how it is.
I have read one book where they have tell a very 3 tips to become a powerful in a group discussion. The one was start with confidence. No matter which language you communicate, if you have that enough confidence, you will win those conversations. The second one is become a good listener. If you don't have any word to say, just stay calm. कल मेरा दिन आएगा, कल मैं बोलूँगा. And third one is immerse yourself, enter into the conversation. कन्वर्सेशन में पूरा खो जाना है. मैं कुछ भी बोल रहा हूँ, बात कर रहा हूँ, बस उसके लिए ही मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. So that was one of the very great tips I have in those books. I want to ask you one thing. Does communicate and negotiation correlate with each other?
Yes and no, both. Why do I say yes and no? Because when you are communicating with people, what are you doing? You are trying to help people accept your point of view. What are you doing? You're doing the same thing. You're helping me or trying to, I don't like the word convince, but nevertheless, you're trying to convince me to accept your point of view. And then while that discussion is going on, we are trying to come to a mutually agreeable point. Wouldn't that be called negotiation? So if that is negotiation, aren't we always negotiating? And wouldn't that be called communication? So yes, negotiation and communication are very much part of each other. The beauty of it is that I don't try to topo any views of mine, but we have a discussion. The beauty of it is that I don't make you, we don't get into an argument. The beauty of it would be if we, in a healthy fashion, have a discussion and with an open mind, accept that what I'm saying is not right and you accept what you think is not right, and then we both come to a conclusion as to what is right. People call it win-win. I don't like that word. There's nothing like win-win. Somebody always gets more than the other. That's the unfortunate rule of life. But so therefore, yes, negotiation and communication are something that is absolutely similar to each other. Yes, it is. Wouldn't you agree to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think English is a compulsion to become a good communicator or good negotiator?
I don't know whether there is anything more than 100%, but whatever is more than 100%, it is not required.
So there is a misconception going everywhere. If you know the English, then you definitely become a good communicator.
Okay. So I think I said some time back that what is the definition of effective communication? The definition of effective communication is to get the desired response. Okay. So I'm sure you've gone on your bike in your young days to watch a movie. Yeah. You went to see the movie and a late night show, and then you came back. And when you turned the last lane to get to your house, wo gali ka kutta, he started barking and running behind you. What did you do? You ran. Or you speeded up your bike. Yes? That kutta's communication was effective. He wanted you to run and you ran. Language important? No. He got the desired response. Grammar important? No. Nothing important. What is important is whether you're getting the desired response. Give you another example. I was, as you will notice over a period of time, I talk a lot. So I was sitting with at my place on a Sunday morning, and we got some family guests who came and sat, and I started talking to them. And my dad came and he sat on this side, and I was jabbering away. And after a while, when I looked at my dad was looking at me like that. And I shut up because I knew that he wanted me to keep quiet because he had to speak. There were elders sitting over there.
He wants to share that message and you get it.
And he just looked at me and I knew that I had to shut up. Effective communication, what language? So let me put it another way, give you yet another example. What are your clients looking at, or whoever you're speaking to, what are they looking at? They're looking at being provided what they're looking for. If it's a product, then the product. If it's a service, then it's a service. To help them to do well. When I'm talking to you, what are you looking for? You're looking for a conversation which will help you to make the conversation interesting. If I'm doing that, how does it matter which language we are speaking in? So, at the end of the day, your client is looking for good work. Doesn't matter what language you speak in. Language, unfortunately, may get you a foot in the door, but nothing beyond that. So, don't make language the number one thing. That's not important. It is important, but not the number one thing, is what I think.
Who do you think in the country is the best communicator or orator?
So everybody is looking at different ways of receiving information. So if you have a method of communicating, there is an audience there who will think you are a great communicator. And I may be very different from you, but I will have an audience who thinks I'm horrible. And there will be an audience who thinks very good. Okay? So if you ask me, I definitely think that our current Prime Minister is a brilliant orator. There's no doubts about it. And I'm not talking from any political angle, and I'm not saying I prefer this politics or that politics. So please mind that. Okay? I'm not making any political statements. I'm talking about perfectly communication only from that perspective. I think he's a brilliant communicator. I think there are a couple of other people who are known as gurus in our country, who are brilliant at not just communicating, but also in marketing and communication, okay? Who are capturing the imagination of a lot of people. I'm again not commenting whether they're good or bad and they should be followed or not followed. That's up to you. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying they're brilliant at the way they're communicating. They're doing a fantastic job. So yes, there are a lot of people like that. I mean, look at the President of the United States. A lot of people may not like what he's saying and the way he's speaking and making lots of memes and lots of jokes about him. But at the end of the day, the guy speaks and he speaks well and people listen. Whether you understand, don't understand, accept, don't accept is a completely different matter. So, yes, but personally, I think the Prime Minister of India is a brilliant communicator.
He has that charm, personality at a glory. He makes us believe what he says. एक बार हम सोचने लगेंगे यार बोला है सही बोला है.
Again, when you look at it, whether I don't think it is fake, I think it is very real. His intentions and purposes are clear, and therefore he is doing a great job. And his thought clarity is superb. So therefore he is doing a great job. And that is what is catching your imagination and you feeling good about it. Okay. So again, when we go back to communication, what is important? Your intentions are important. Your thought is important. Your clarity of purpose and clarity of thought is important. And then you know the audience and what is it that you will say to that particular audience which will evoke the kind of response that you want them to get, you want to be evoked, is what is called an effective communicator. And he gets the desired response. Good job done.
In fact, your beard is matching with Prime Minister.
I will not take that as a compliment.
You have worked for more than 2 decades in the Times of India. I want to ask you one thing. How Times of India's campaign implement IMC? Just like advertisement, PR, social media, they work like a coordinated strategy. So how Times of India implement that IMC?
What do you mean by IMC?
Integrated Marketing Communications.
Okay, great. I just asked that for the clarification of the audience. In any organization, whether you call it a country, whether you call it a company, whether you call it a family, or whether you call it a society, all of those are organizations. What makes the difference is leadership and the clarity of thought they have and the purpose they have. What I am immensely impressed with Bennett Coleman Company Limited, who also have Times of India as one of their products, is the immense clarity of thought and purpose of the leadership. And by the leadership, I don't mean the employees. I mean the people at the helm, the Jains, specifically one brother, whom I am a little more fond of than the other. Brilliant thinking, brilliant purpose, brilliant clarity of thought, and the great capability of showing the direction, showing the end result expected, showing the character wanted, showing the culture that is required, showing what is right and what is wrong on a constant, continuous basis, and then leaving it for the professions to achieve it. And that is what I think made organizations successful. That is what I think makes countries successful. That is what makes families successful. So I don't want to say it specifically for one organization like you mentioned, but for all organizations that have been successful. Whether you talk about the Tatas, whether you talk about the Adanis, whether you talk about the Birlas, whether you talk about the Reliance, I think more or less all of them have got the same thing. And that is, they have got the clarity of thought, the clarity of purpose, clarity of end result expected, and a culture created as to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what is good behavior and what is not good behavior, laid out correctly, repeated on a very, very regular basis, and then go ahead and do it. That is the only thing that works. That clarity is what is important. And let me tell you something else. A lot of people think that you need sparks of innovations. You need great ups and etc. What makes a company, an organization, or a country, or a family successful, whatever you may term success as, is doing the mundane, boring stuff which is going to help you to reach where you want to reach on a regular, everyday basis. You cannot go to the gym for 10 hours one day and not for 10 days to make a body. You need to go every day for an hour for 10 days and 10 years regularly to make a brilliant body. And it is boring, and it is silly, and it is not good. But that's the discipline you need on a regular, constant basis to cut above the others anywhere and everywhere.
I am adding to that. I am a strong believer that every successful person has a success pattern or access of information. मुझे अंबानी बनना है, मेरे पास वो पैटर्न एक्सेस ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन है, मैं अंबानी हूँ. मुझे अदानी बनना है, मेरे पास वो सक्सेसफुल पैटर्न है, एक इन्फॉर्मेशन है जिसकी वजह से मैं अदानी हूँ. सो एवरी पर्सन हैज़ दैट यूनिक पैटर्न एंड यूनिक एक्सेस ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट्स मेक द पर्सन मोर सक्सेस regarding rather than to the another.
So the only thing that I would like to change from what you're saying, and I agree with everything that you've said, is forget about the unique part of it, because everybody is unique. So everybody needs to have a pattern, everybody needs to have certain pieces of information, and then they need to keep doing that on a regular basis in a disciplined manner. If you do that, you will reach. Now, if you want to go from here to, say, Delhi, if you have the money, take a flight. If you have more money, take a chartered flight. If you don't have money, start walking. Someday you're going to reach there. See, it doesn't matter what is required. It's not the tools. It is the direction, and then consistently going towards the direction which will make you reach the direction. Most people fail there. Most people, even if they have the money for a chartered flight, don't even take off. Forget about walking. But there is another guy who doesn't have the money for a chartered flight but starts walking. He reaches before the guy who has the money to reach there. That is the difference. It's dependent on you, not dependent on the money, not dependent on the circumstances, not dependent on anything. You are a chartered accountant. You think CA is going to make you successful? No, it is Aayush who is going to become successful, not CA. It is you where the success lies. It is in you where the success is, not in your education, not in your qualifications, not in anything. It is in you. That's the only place where the success is. So don't get dependent. If I have this pen, I will write better. Or if I have this kind of teachers, I'll become better. Or this school is better. Yeah, they help. CA will help you to become successful, but that's a stepping stone. One stepping stone to reach where you have to eventually reach. Not the stepping stone. One stepping stone. So Aayush is the guy who becomes successful, not the CA. That's the difference.
You have come across any kind of news कि आपके जो कलीग्स है अदर इन द एडिटोरियल डिपार्टमेंट, नॉर्मली वी हैव सीन दैट कि न्यूज़ चैनल्स को या रिपोर्टर्स को ना थ्रेट मैसेजेस और मेल्स मिलते हैं कि उनके पास ऐसी इन्फॉर्मेशन है, इफ़ दे पब्लिश इच मेक अ ह्यूज इम्पैक्ट इन द कंट्री. तो you come across any kind of such messages or threats or mails?
So, first and foremost, I'm not qualified to answer this question because I have not been directly informed about this in an official capacity. So,
It
therefore,
always confidential.
So I'm not informed about it. That's number one. Number two, have I heard about this? Yes, I have. Does it impact the editorial department to do things or not do things? There are media companies where it does impact, and there are media companies that it doesn't impact. Am I being diplomatic in giving this answer? Yes, I am.
What about कि कोई जिसके पास न्यूज़ है, कोई एथिकल डायलेमा में फंस जाए कि मेरे पास न्यूज़ है लेकिन साथ में सम पॉजिटिव सेंटिमेंट्स आ जाते हैं विच कन्फ्लिक्ट्स विद दैट न्यूज़. सो उस सिचुएशन में क्या करना चाहिए? वो पब्लिश करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए?
Okay, so that is where culture comes in. So you're talking from the context of news, but let's talk in context of organization. So every organization has a culture, and that culture is what people are supposed to follow. What is the right thing that can be done? What is the thing that cannot be done? These are the cultures that are developed in organization. Fortunately, in times of India, the culture was very strong. At least when I was there, the culture was very, very strong. And it was very, very clear what can be done and what cannot be done, what is right and what is wrong. And beyond that, people were not interfered with. So, but there are organizations who don't have that culture, who say that, no, you will do what I tell you to do, whether you think it is right or whether you think it is wrong. And if you want to work there, you have to follow that. So it all depends on cultures. So does these things that you're asking me happen? Yes, they do happen. I'd be lying if I'm saying it's not happening. They do happen. How do people respond? I don't want to comment on how Times of India responds or doesn't respond because I was not in the editorial department, so I'm not qualified to give that answer. But I do know one thing, that every organization has cultures, and Times of India also had cultures and has cultures, and people would respond according to what the culture tells them to respond, and it would be ingrained into them to do it. And that's the reason why there are organizations which are number one and there are organizations which are not number one.
करेक्ट. आपने कोई ऐसे न्यूज़ जो कम अक्रॉस कि टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया ने कुछ पब्लिश किया है वो ट्रू फैक्ट्स बेसिस पे विच मेक्स अ ह्यूज इम्पैक्ट इन द कंट्री?
All the time. You think in 20 years there has been no such news which has impacted the country? Of course there have been so many.
एवरी टाइम दे.
Not every time, but there have been many which has impacted. You think certain riots that have taken place have not impacted? Of course they have. You think that the earthquake that took place, since we are in Gujarat right now, let's talk about that. Earthquake that has taken place in Gujarat has not impacted? Of course it has impacted. You think the recent Sindoor operation that took place, that news did not impact the country and the world? Of course it impacted. Let me tell you something which is probably a little different from what you're asking. There was a time when every city had one or two newspapers. And how they used to talk was they used to give all perspectives, and you had to choose which perspective you wanted. In today's world, things have changed. You are consuming information from various perspectives. You're consuming information from newspapers. You're consuming information from so many digital avenues. YouTube, Instagram. People tell me I consume my news from Instagram. But okay, so you've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, you've got websites, you've got WhatsApp where everybody is sharing information with. So there are loads of different ways the information is coming. Now you need to become very careful about what is it that you want to rely upon. And everybody who is taking a broad view and giving you a whole bouquet or buffet of food is not being liked. So everybody wants that what I like, I want to consume. So all medias have taken stands. They're taking stand A, stand B, stand C, stand D. They're taking different stands. And you are sticking to the stand that you like. And therefore you think you are absolutely right. And that's where the fights are. Ideally speaking, you should be looking at all the stands and then taking an informed decision, which is not happening. And who does it benefit? I will leave that question and not answer it.
आपने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की बात की. सो जस्ट अभी इंडिया पाक का वॉर हुआ था. No, different news channels I have especially come across that different news channels had different narratives, which might be truth, which might be a absolute false. So is there any set parameters how audience or like me can identify what are the credible news, what we want to rely on?
Unfortunately, no. So during this particular time, what did I do? I did not look at news at all. I was not watching the news channels at all. What was I doing? I followed the government sites and the military sites on Twitter or on wherever they were available. And then whatever they were saying, I was making my judgments on them. So what we're talking about is, you have so many, let's imagine a kitchen where there is so much, everything is available. Now, how you make your khichdi and how do I make my khichdi are different khichdis. So, if I want more people to come and like my khichdi, I'm making a khichdi which is likable by a majority of people. Okay? And there is the ingredient itself. And I consume and decide what I like and what I think is the truth and what is pure and what is organic and what is right. I pick those things up. So what everybody did was that they were making a khichdi which would be consumable by the majority and liked by everybody and created lots of conversation points. Yeah. So I chose to ignore that completely. And what I did was I looked for organic things. I looked for pure things. I looked at the right things and then I believed them. And those, according to me, at this point of time, during this particular operation, was what the government was saying. Everybody else was putting their own masalas. So I did not expose myself to that at all. And I think I was happy doing it.
So how to draw a line between a paid content or an independent editorial?
So there are media companies which very well and clearly mention that this is an advertorial. And that means it is paid information. I would put it very easily and simply that there is any article written where जिसका article लिखा उसका name, address, telephone number सब कुछ लिखा हुआ है और उसी के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं और किसी की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. It's paid. Under the table or over the table, with billing or without billing, I don't know. But it's paid. That's how I look at it.
No, with the pressure of TRP and clicks, do you think is the media leaning towards the sensationalism?
So the keyword here is TRP and clicks. Anything that gets you TRP and clicks is what they're looking for. Would you want to call it sensationalism? Okay. Would you call it real news? Okay. Would you call it excitement? Okay, you can call it whatever you want. But yes, the key requirement of everybody is TRP and because that's where the money is. If you're not watching what I'm saying or not reading what I'm doing, then how am I going to make money? Understand one very, very important thing. The audience will get what they want. The audience will get what they deserve. If you want bad food and if you like it and more people like bad food, then the market will give you bad food. If you consume packaged foods a lot, then a market will give you packaged food. If majority of the people know that packaged food is something that we don't want, packaged food will go out of business. So everybody will give you what you want or what you need. Or what you feel, maybe need is the wrong word, but what you ask for. It's as simple as that. If I want votes, I will do what is required to get votes. Would you call that sensationalism? Or would you call that serving my purpose? If it is sensationalism that you need to make you give me votes, I will give you sensationalism. I will do what is required to fulfill my requirement. So I don't know whether you want to call it sensationalism or what, but you will get what you want so that I get what I want.
According to you, what are the future of investigative journalism when funding and safety both are the concerns?
Investigative journalism is required because that's the job of a journalist. He has to investigate, he has to find out different perspectives and then give it to the way that is easily consumable by the audience. So, investigation is obviously required.
So before ending with this wonderful conversation, I want to ask you one last question. At this stage, when media marketing will be at the edge in the future, in the AI or digital era, can you give me 3 advice to me or my audience, those who want to start their career with this media marketing?
No, I can't give you an advice in terms of media and marketing. But I can tell you, give you a piece of my opinion as far as life is concerned. The world is changing, and the world is changing more rapidly than where it has ever done so far in the past. So, if I were to give you an example, the Industrial Revolution took place about 170, 180 years ago. The change, the quantum, the quantity of change that has taken place in the last 170, 180 years, from no electricity to electricity everywhere, from no understanding of what is internet to internet everywhere, from traveling by foot or by animal to flying, to picking up an instrument by which you can talk to anybody in the world at any particular point of time and see them and talk to them also. None of those imaginable things are today all possible. The same quantum of change is expected to happen in 10 years. Imagine getting a person who was 180 years old back over here and making them see this. What will he think? Will he think that he's dreaming, or will he think this is reality? That there is a machine that is cooling this particular room out. And in a place like where we are sitting outside, the temperature is probably 36 degrees and you're sitting with a jacket. Can he even imagine what this is? No, he cannot. He may not even have seen this kind of a color anywhere. Okay? So, or if we show him that there is a vehicle flying in the air which will reach Mumbai in another half an hour or 45 minutes, can he say that that is a possibility or it is true? He'll think that you're just joking. I pick up the phone and connect and give it to him and say, now speak to your wife or see why she's talking. Is it possible? Will a person just about 150 years ago be able to imagine this? No, he cannot. What I'm trying to say is that in the next 10 years, what is going to happen, you cannot imagine right now. The quantum of change is going to be that drastic. That 180-year-old man is not going to come here because he doesn't exist. But you are going to be existing 10 years from now, and you don't know what is going to happen. The world is changing very dramatically. The world is changing in ways that we do not know or do not understand. This has never happened in the history of human beings before. Everything has been a gradual process. Now the process of change is very, very rapid. So then how do we deal with it? So far, we've always planned and said that if that career is the right career, that is what is going to happen, let us do that. Rather than what I am good at or what I enjoy doing. For the first time, I think, not for the first time, but after a long, long time, I think it has happened once again in humankind, where it is advisable to do things that you enjoy. Because if you're good at something, and if you enjoy it, then people will come looking for you. And if you're doing it just because you need to do it and you're not enjoying it, then there are other people who are enjoying it, they're better than you, and they will go to them. So my suggestion to people is, go with your heart. The head is not going to rule for some time now. It's back to the heart. And work accordingly. And use that as an important thing. Let me give you some piece of information, Aayush, that I hope you enjoy listening to.
Yes, might definitely.
In this particular area of Bharat, which is probably from Afghanistan to beyond Bangladesh. I'm not talking about the political map of India or Bharat. I'm talking
Like
about what it
Akhand,
used to be.
Akhand Bharat.
Akhand Bharat is a political thing, so I don't want to talk that. I'm talking about the area which is known as India or Bharat, the original area which is known
yes.
as Bharat, the place where the Hindus used to dominate. There were three people or three deities which were worshipped: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Now there are three worlds that exist: the Brahma world, the Vishnu world, and the Mahesh world. I hope you find this interesting. So Brahma was the creator. And what did Brahma say? Or what did Brahma do to create? Brahma made good and bad. Brahma made day and night. Brahma made gods and demons. Brahma made rich and poor. Brahma made everything in opposites to keep the balance. Okay? So there was up and down. There was night and day. So everything was kept in balance. In this world of Brahma, if you want to succeed and do well, what do you need to do? You need to take the help of Brahma's wife. And who is Brahma's wife? Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. If you want to become rich, you're going to become rich at the cost of somebody becoming poor. Okay? If you become poor, then because of your cost, somebody is becoming rich, because there is opposites. You need a man and a woman to progress. Okay? You need a female mind and a male mind to progress. You need that duality. This duality exists. And this age of duality, you need knowledge to become successful, or whatever you want to call it. Then there is Mahesh. Mahesh said, all this is mithya, this is all maya, these are all illusions. You need to go about the Himalayas and sit and put bhasma on your sharir and just meditate or do whatever, yoga, pranayam, meditation, whatever, and reach nirvana. Now Mahesh's wife was not happy with that. She said, people are going hungry beneath on earth and you are coming and doing this. This is not right. You need to do this. You need to help other people to achieve what you want to do. So Mahesh said, I'll do this. But I will not tell them to go to Brahma's world. So I'll tell them do meditation, pranayam, get into the spiritual path and all of those things. Then everybody said, yes, we don't mind doing that. But what about our boarding and lodging? Who's going to take care of us? How do we earn? How do we make a living? What do we eat? How do we remain healthy? So what did Mahesh say? Don't worry. My wife will take care of you. And who is Mahesh's wife? Another name for Mahesh's wife is Annapurna. Annapurna will provide for you. Will take care of you, will give you food, will take care of your health, everything. You go on to the path of nirvana and spirituality. Now, I'm not speaking from the context of Hinduism here. I'm talking from whichever language. Don't take the God's names thinking that I'm trying to promote Hinduism or anything. That's not what I'm doing. If you like Hinduism, up to you. Don't like it, up to you. But that's how it was talked about. So that's another path that is there, another life that you can live, another world that you can choose, the Mahesh's world. And there is the third world, not in the context of a bad world, but another world, the Brahma world, the Mahesh world, and then you go the Vishnu world. What did Vishnu say? Vishnu said that, look, share whatever you have. Acha, donate nahi. Donate is superior, getting person is inferior. He's not talking of superior and inferior. That becomes Brahma's world. He said, whatever you have, share it with you. You have wealth, share it with you. You have knowledge, share it with you. You have clothes, share it with others. Whatever you have, share it with. You have love, share it with others. Whatever you have an abundance of, share it with others. If you're sharing it with 5 people and 5 people are sharing it with you, then you will always get more, because you alone cannot get as much as 5 people can give you. So share with people. And if you share with people, what is going to happen? My wife is going to take care of you. And who's my wife? Vishnu's wife is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance. She will give you abundance of anything and everything, provided you are sharing with everybody. Now the question is, which world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in the Brahma's world where there is Unch and Neech? Then you will have at war all time, because war and peace are also Brahma's world, because they are opposites of each other. If you want to peace, you will have to have war. If you want to have war, you cannot have peace. So these are opposites. So do you want to live in that world? Nothing wrong with that world. Brilliant world. There's no world that is better or superior than the other. They're all equal. But you have to make a choice which world you want to live in. If you want to become rich at the cost of others, you'll need knowledge. Without that, it won't work. If you want to go to the spiritual path, you cannot expect bungalows and cars and all of those things. You got to leave everything and you got to renounce everything and get into that path. You'll be provided for, nothing will go wrong. You'll be healthy, everything will be taken care of, and you will go into that path. Very brilliant world, no doubt about that. And the another world, which is Vishnu's world. And Vishnu's world is share and care. Not dan, not donation. Donation is Brahma's world. Okay, I'm giving because I have more is Brahma's world. I'm giving because whatever I have more, whatever I have, I'm sharing it with others. Either you have this much or whether you have that much is not important. But whatever I have, I'm sharing with each other. So now I was thinking as to which is the best world. And I have not been able to come to the conclusion which is the best world. And I cannot tell anybody that you should be in this world or another world. Or that world, the Brahma's world or the Mahesh's world or the Vishnu's world. But I did come and see one thing, which was very interesting. It is said that this particular Pradesh of ours, the Bharat Pradesh, had a GDP which was more than the whole world put together at one point of time. That people were very, very happy and the people were very satisfied and people lived with each other in a very, very satisfied manner with tolerance for each other and with happiness all around. And those are the times where there were temples being built. And I went around the country and I found it very, very difficult to find temples of Brahma. All the temples that I was easily being able to find were the temples of Vishnu or temples of Mahesh. Probably the conclusion that I'm drawing from this is that Vishnu's and Mahesh's world are better worlds than Brahma's world. Probably, I'm saying probably, Vishnu's and Mahesh's worlds are better because they have more temples. And that's what we are being propagating. And when that was being propagated, we were in the happiest state and we were in the wealthiest state. Wealthy is a wrong word to use. We were in the most abundant state at that particular time, where everybody had abundance of everything. So does that mean that Vishnu's world and Mahesh's world is a better world to live in? I will leave that for you to decide. But I do know one thing, that in this Brahma's world, there is somebody trying to defeat somebody else. There is somebody who's trying to win over somebody else. There is somebody who is unhappy with somebody else. There is somebody who wants to be superior than somebody else. There are everybody who is talking about themselves and nobody else. I want to do well. My country, my society, my religion, my family. That is Brahma's world. And there you need knowledge and there you will always be fighting to become superior than others because you want to be better than others. That means you're at a fight mode all times. You want that world? Best of luck to you. Nothing wrong. That's also a world. And that's also a beautiful world. That's your wish. That's your choice. But to me, at this old age, I've come to a conclusion that because there were more Mahesh's world and there were Mahesh's temples and more Shiva's temples and more Vishnu's temple, it seems that if I want to be at peace and if I want abundance for everybody and if I want to live in a nice society where everybody is happy and everybody is happy for each other, then I think Vishnu's world and Mahesh's world seems to be better to me personally at this point of time in my life. I'm sorry for taking you on a spiritual or a non, not just a spiritual, but on a non.
Thank you so much for coming here. Right now I am motivated after talking with you. It was very an amazing conversation with you. Thank you so much.